This is Dartmoor Community Sports College.
This is BBC School Report 2017.
Making the news today.
Our head teacher, Mr. Smith, talks exams with Amaria.
Harry looks at racism in sport.
In sport, are women given a raw deal? An investigation with Mia.
Hi, I'm Amaria, and my project for the BBC School Report was based on the perception of exams from spoken word poet Sully Brake's point of view. Prior to this interview, Mr. Smith, the head teacher, had watched Sully's video called "I Will Not Let an Exam Result Decide My Fate." We then asked his opinion on the examination system. Good afternoon, Mr. Smith, and thank you for allowing me to interview you today. So, as a head teacher, you're kind of around your students every day. So, do you think that exams are a reliable reflection on your students' potential?
I think exams are a reliable reflection on students' potential. It's very important that students realise that when they leave the school, the exams are a demonstration of all that they've learned in their 11 or 13 years of school life, and so when they move on to the real world, it's what they will need in order to be able to push themselves forward and progress the best that they possibly can. I don't think exams are the only way though, and I know that at this school we try really hard to make sure that students have opportunity to showcase their skills in different ways as well. So they get the chance to be mentors or volunteers or to do the National Citizen Service, all those sorts of things. So exams aren't the be-all and end-all for me, but they are really important because they're how students can show how they're able to kind of move on to the next stage in their life.
Schooling throughout time has pretty much stayed similar, the same. Do you think it would be beneficial if it changed, or do you think it is a good way the way it is?
I don't think I completely agree that schooling's always been the same, because, for example, 150 years ago, not everybody went to school. And so I'm very pleased that we live in a world, in a country now where everyone can go to school and everyone can get the education. I know that you will have heard me talk before about Nelson Mandela's quote about education being the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. And I really believe that. I really believe that the biggest difference we can make as a school is by helping people get what they need to succeed in life. 150 years ago, very few people had that opportunity. And that's why I think education is so important and why it's important to move it forward. Maybe subjects change a bit. I certainly didn't have IT or computing lessons when I was at school, but I've got a degree in computer science and I had to go away and learn it and all those sorts of things as well. So it does change, but do you mean in terms of the fact that it's just you learn stuff and you have to do exams? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think in that respect it's the same. Actually, things are changing now because the government's changing it so that students have to do exams without any controlled assessment. So that's a change that's coming in. So the styles of learning and what people have to do, that's changing as well. I would quite like it to be a world where actually we can reward, make sure that students get to show their learning in different ways. But of course we have to make sure we prepare students the best we can for the exams that they have to do.
So would you say that although lessons do stretch students to their abilities, their different abilities, practicality is also a good part of it?
I think that's a good way of saying it. I think it's important that we stretch every student and we make students do the best they possibly can and we support them to do the best they possibly can. But I also think it's important that we develop the other sides of a student learning as well, because it's not just about getting all the information into someone's head so that they can do well in an exam, but it's also about the fact that if you're going to do well in an exam, you've got to show that you can work independently, you've got to show that you can motivate yourself, that you can push forward, and all those sorts of things as well.
And obviously we have students that are going into their exams soon. Do you have any advice for those who may be worried or stressed about exams?
I do have advice for them. Number one is, it's never too late. And I really believe that. I've said that to year 11 recently, so if they think they haven't done enough preparation, but the most important thing is that you spend time preparing for the exam. So the most important thing is that you revise and then revise a little bit more, and revise a little bit more, and just keep going round in a circle. So never say no, never give up, always revise, always prepare. Don't leave it to the last minute. It's really, really important. And I would also say that in an exam you often have 90 minutes or 2 hours or 2.5 hours, and you've got that time for a reason. So you need to use it. If you're sitting there looking at the sky and twiddling your thumbs with half an hour to go, you've probably not done as well as you can in that exam, would be my suggestion. So use the time you've got in the exam to make the answers the best you possibly can.
Do you think the application of learning needs to be included in exams rather than the reflection of information?
Exams do give you opportunity to do that. Maths exams, for example, will often give you problem solving, so you have to use your understanding of maths to be able to answer the questions. So I think it's good when exams give you the chance not just to use what you know, but also to apply it. I like that. I think it's much, because then it's much more about real life as well, isn't it? Because people always say to me, when am I ever going to use trigonometry? And then they end up having a triangle-shaped pond in their garden and they have to work. So that's the kind of thing that's important. Or when am I ever going to use percentages? Well, when I take out a bank loan, I need to be able to do it. So I think it's good if you're asked to apply knowledge in an exam. And then in your English exam, when you have to learn how to read through the small print and understand what an advert's saying and all those sorts of things, I think, so it's not just about knowledge, it's about using it as well.
So really all of our subjects have an aspect to our real life?
Yeah, I hope so. I think most subjects do, because the history, even though that's gone, there's that old saying about those people that don't learn from history repeat its mistakes. So it's important you see what happened before and then make sure it doesn't happen again. So I think it's important there's some application of knowledge. And the challenge for us as a school is making sure we do that while some of the requirements for exams are changing.
Okay. So that's all my questions. Thank you for talking to me.
Thank you very much.
I'm a student at Derby Moor Community Sport College. When I was younger, people wouldn't let me play football because I wasn't fully Asian. That's what most people said. So I wanted to investigate if racism in sport was still common. Earlier, I interviewed Angela Bradford from the Derbyshire FA about racism. How do you feel about racism in sport and in general?
My job title is Football Development Officer for Women, Girls and Inclusion. So part of my job is to try and educate people about equality in football. So obviously racism is quite a big part of equality in football. So I do quite a bit of work with schools and clubs and around education on racism in football.
Yeah. Have you ever been racially abused before? Like, had any racist comments said for playing a sport or in general, and how did it feel?
No, but I have been female playing football.
Oh.
So when I was playing myself, I got the comments, girls shouldn't be playing football, or it's not, you need to get back to the kitchen, them sort of comments. So I have experienced discrimination whilst playing football.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel, how bad is racism at the moment in sport or in general?
At the moment, I think it's not as bad as it has been, which is good, because it means there's a lot of education around there, around educating young players within the game. There was a few incidents a few years back within the Premier League, but I think it's better than it was. It's still an issue, but I don't think it's as bad as it was.
How do you feel about racism now? How can we make it better?
I think a lot of it's around education, so working with schools, so primary schools, secondary schools, colleges, universities, get that information out there, especially the younger age groups. I do quite a lot of workshops with primary schools, so year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6, around education, about equality in football. So one area that I do cover on that workshop is racism.
Okay.
I'm Mia. My project is about women's equality in sports. I chose this project because I'm passionate about removing sexism and prejudice that women face, especially in the world of sport. I was inspired to create this project when I became involved in a debate about women's equality and the coverage of women in the media. From that point onwards, I knew I would like to raise awareness of the media's lack of coverage of women in sport. I soon learned of the wage gap between men and women, especially in football, and decided to investigate the issue in the form of an interview with Angela Harper and Sheila Rollinson, both supporters of women's football. So would you like to tell me a bit about yourself?
My name's Sheila Rollinson. You perhaps know me as Mrs Rollinson at Derby Moor, but I'm actually the Secretary of Derby County Ladies, and I've been involved in women's football ever since I started playing right back in 1973.
Do you think women and men are equal in sport?
I don't think women and men are equal in terms of their physical abilities or their size. However, I firmly believe they should have equal opportunities to take part in whatever sport they want to do, and to compete amongst themselves and be rewarded for that and have the opportunities.
Do you believe they have the same opportunities?
Clearly in football we don't at the moment, because there are very few women who get paid to play football, and we all know that some of these Premiership footballers are on hundreds of thousands of pounds a week. There's no women earning that sort of money. But there's been big changes since the Women's Super League was brought in by the FA. There are now players who are getting paid to play professionally and are travelling up and down the country, and people go and support them. So it's changed a lot, but it's still not equal in football.
Do you think that social media plays a part in this for the inclusion of young girls?
I think social media is something that people like me have to catch up on, really, because younger people are more into it perhaps than older people are. But yes, the more you can show girls and women that there are people out there who stand up for themselves and play football and take part in sport, and you can break down the barriers if you want to, then I think that's a good thing, isn't it? Having role models is really important for young people.
Do you believe there is more male role models?
We'll just stop and welcome Angie Harper from the Football Association, Derbyshire FA.
Do you think social media is affecting the inclusion of young girls in sports?
I think social media is massive. You take the Women's World Cup in 2015, a lot of the England players, their Twitter followers trebled overnight because of the success of the England women's team in getting the bronze medal. I think social media is quite powerful as well, because you can, especially with the female players, you can interact with them. So if you tweet them, they may tweet you back. So I think it is a very, very powerful tool in this day and age.
Do you think that social media harbours some role models for young girls that might not present what they do, but more that their body, and that sets a bad example for young girls?
I think it depends on who they're following. If they're following athletes such as, say, Nicola Adams or some of the England women's players, they are positive role models for young girls as well. But there are some sites out there as well that will portray negative body image for young girls, or set unrealistic goals for young girls.
How do you feel about sportswomen such as Rebecca Adlington, who felt the pressure from social media that she had to get her nose done, and other sportswomen who have to look a certain way?
It is unfortunate that there are people out there who will bully people online, utilising social media to try and enforce their thinking on how women should look. I think it's very bad that women have to change the way they look, or how they dress just to please society.
Do you think this happens more with women than men?
I would say yes, definitely. I wouldn't see it happen very much with male athletes.
Have you noticed any recent changes in girls being involved in football?
Yes, I've worked in this role for 8 years, and the number of girls playing football is increased rapidly. When I first started, we had 52 girls teams. We now have 83 girls teams in Derbyshire alone, and we had 19 women's teams. We're now up to 28 women's teams. So there has been a massive increase. Post 2015 World Cup as well, there was a massive increase in people just want to know more information about the players, about the team, about football locally, which was great.
Do you think this can still be improved?
Oh, definitely. With the new FA strategy only being launched this week, wanting to double participation by 2020 across all forms of the female game, so from girls and women's football, and also attendances at England games and WSL games. I think it's quite achievable.
Ange and I spoke earlier about the fact when she started playing for Derby County Ladies, how old were you?
I was 12.
12. Back then there was no girls teams out there at all, so the only way girls could play was to be playing against adult women. Now today you'd look at that and say that it's wrong, so it's huge steps forward that we have all these girls teams and a pathway for the best players to come through and actually get to play for England. We've got one player at Derby County at the moment who's only 16, who's currently in the under-19 squad for England. So, you know, there's all sorts of ways that women and girls can go with football. It can take them a long way these days.
Yeah, there's been massive changes over the last 5 years, 5-6 years since the FAWSL launched, which is the FA Women's Super League, which is a semi-professional, professional league for women. It's changed massively. Attitudes towards the female game, media companies want to get involved, big companies wanted to get involved, sponsorship deals as well. It's attitudes have changed massively.
Do you think the coverage of women's can still be improved further?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. But we need more big events around. We had a big FA Cup game, I say we, Derby County, against Nottingham Forest only a few weeks ago, and we had nearly 800 people came to watch the game, and we had television coverage, radio coverage and everything. So the more we can put on games that catch the interest of not only women and girls but also men and boys who are our supporters, to come along and understand that women's football is a sport in its own right. It's the same game but it's different, and the accessibility to the players, they will be signing autographs for all the girls, they'll be talking to them, you know, it's different.
Do you think it's up to men and boys too to change attitudes about prejudice towards girls? Do you think they can get involved to help?
I think we have to educate them by showing them we can do it. I rarely find that anybody who actually comes to a women's game is disappointed. And once they've seen the game and seen the passion and the way that women or girls play, then most people are converted, but it's getting them there in the first place.
I'd agree with that, definitely.